All right, so we have talked many times on my channel about HOAs and the dangers of HOAs. Are you considering moving into a home that has an HOA? Or in Florida, we have what's called HOAs and something called CDDs that I've talked about in another video. For this video, we're going to be focusing on specifically HOAs, which is, of course, a homeowners association. You need to know about the dangers of moving into an area with homeowners associations. You need to know the good, the ugly, and the really, really ugly. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Hey everyone, I'm JR Dukes. I am your host. I'm with JRDukes.com, and welcome to the JR Dukes Law channel. It's always my pleasure to talk with you, and I appreciate you joining me today. So let's talk about it. What is an HOA? As we've talked about on videos in the past, an HOA is a homeowners association. Basically what that means is when your particular subdivision was formed, the entire land that your home is located on and the surrounding subdivision is typically bound up by deed. It's bound up, it's legalized, it has a list of rules, it's agreed to that it's going to be managed in a very special way, kind of like a small city inside your city. And the HOA is going to be governed by an HOH board. HOAs sound good in theory. Basically, no one likes to live next to a place that's a junk house. No one likes to live across the street from someone that has a toilet on their front patio. I can tell you, when I first moved into my house here in Florida, the guy across the street, who by the way is a great guy, very nice guy, in case you're watching this video, he actually had a toilet, among other things, on his front patio. It wasn't the prettiest thing in the world, but it really didn't bother me. Luckily, he ended up cleaning up his property anyways. Personally, I can't stand HOAs for the reasons we're going to talk about in this particular video today. The good thing about HOAs and the things that people will say is that if there is a problem, if someone is painting their house a bright pink or a bright yellow color, something fluorescent, they can put a stop to it. It will make the subdivision basically more uniform. Things will look better. People won't have junk. You won't have junk vehicles outside the residence. The lawns will be kept mowed to a certain height, to a certain expectation. But my friends, the problem is the board becomes, more often than not, nothing more than a reflection of the personalities of the people that govern the board. And that is the danger. What happens is, more often than not, a new person comes into the board and they become powerful. They get what we used to call Wyatt Earp syndrome. They think that they are the boss. I can tell you that when some people get a little bit of power, it goes to their head and they become nothing short of a Nazi. And that is the danger with an HOA. My sister, who lives in another state, is actually going through this very problem right now. She had a gate put up at her residence that's been there for, I think it's been about 2.5 years. Also, her patio had been enclosed in with a screen. The board changed out. New people came in on this particular board. They sent her a letter saying, hey, you have to change your screen and remove it because it was not authorized. Also, you have to remove your wrought iron fence that you built 2.5 years ago. Obviously, she's in litigation right now. She had to get a lawyer. The property was sold with the enclosed patio at the time she bought it. So I'm not sure that that's going to go anywhere. She might be a little bit on a weaker ground with the actual fencing because there is something in law called selective enforcement. The problem with all this, and this is what you have to remember with an HOA, when you fight, you're going to be spending lots of money. When you don't do what the board tells you to do, they can impose fines on your property, and these fines basically become another mortgage on your property. And here is the killer. Here's the thing that's terrible. If you fail to pay the fines that they impose against you, they will simply foreclose on your house. I talk often on this channel about the wonderful, wonderful debtor's haven Florida is, and how once you buy a house, no one can take it from you here in the state of Florida, with very limited exceptions, such as you have to pay your taxes, you have to pay your mortgage. Well, guess what? Mortgage also includes HOA fees. If you don't pay your HOA fees, if you don't pay your HOA fines, no doubt about it, here even in the great state of Florida, the most debtor-friendly jurisdiction in the world, yes, you can lose your house. So think very carefully before you move into a community that has HOA homeowners associations, or in the state of Florida, if they have CDDs, community development districts. You need to be really mindful and thoughtful before you move in. And listen, I see this all the time. Someone says, hey, it's really not going to apply to me. I'm just going to keep a low profile. I'm going to keep my nose out of the sunlight, so to speak. No one's going to even notice me. No one will bother me. I can assure you it doesn't work like that. Sooner or later, new personalities come on the board. They decide that they're going to change the rules. They want to change the look of the neighborhood. And sooner or later, they're going to come gunning for you. You're going to have to deal with your board one way or the other someday in the future. You can bank on it. I promise you that's the way it works out. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to take a risk with an HOA? The benefit might be a cleaner community as far as the aesthetics of the community goes, or do you want to take a chance and simply say, hey, I want to be free. I want to live like Americans should live. I can do what I want to do with my property, and no one's going to tell me what color my house can be. Obviously, I believe in the second choice. I would never live in a community where someone could tell me what I can and can't do with my property. And listen, keep in mind this too. Even here where I live in Pasco County, Florida, I'm coming to you from my home here in sunny Zephyr Hills, Florida. The community I live in, the county is called Pasco County. Even without a homeowners association, generally speaking, most counties across America are going to have minimum standards that code enforcement, or as they call it here in Florida, the marshal's office, will enforce. For example, if you are in a residential community and your grass is higher than 12 inches, you can pretty well expect a call or a knock on the door from the code enforcement individuals. As a matter of fact, I believe my friend across the street with the toilet issue going on, what happened is he had a lot of issues with the property, and of course he got a call, a visit from code enforcement, and basically said the toilet needs to go. So that's exactly what happened in this particular situation. I have an example I want to share with you right now. I come across this article. Let me share my screen with you here. I come across this article that I found on, Vegas, Fox 5 Vegas News. It's online on Fox 5 Vegas. This shows you the dangers of an HOA. You can see on your screen here this homeowner who is a veteran has his truck decked out. Obviously, you can see which way he leans politically, and he's got a big sticker on the back that says, "Let's go, Brandon." Here's what the article says. Henderson, by the way, is like a suburb outside of Las Vegas. And if you haven't been to Las Vegas, you should go. It's a great place to visit. Henderson man threatened with HOA fines for anti-Biden sticker. HOA says flags and stickers resident is displaying is not allowed. Again, this is the kind of stuff that you're going to run across when you're dealing with a homeowner association. If they don't like the vehicles in your driveway, if they don't like the color of your house, if they don't like the way you put your trash cans, if they don't like the length of your grass, you're going to have a problem. And obviously, if you're going to be political, especially nowadays, as divided and polarized as everything is, you can bet you're going to get a visit from the homeowner association, especially if the personalities on the board do not share your same political swaying. Let's call it that. Okay, anyway, Las Vegas, Nevada. Henderson man believes his freedom of speech has been violated over a bumper sticker on his truck. A bumper sticker that reads, "Let's go, Brandon," is causing all the trouble for a man who's being told by his homeowner association that displaying the sticker on his truck is considered an offensive trader activity. You heard it right, an offensive trader activity. Chris lives in the Central Park Estate neighborhood located on the cross streets of Bermuda and Pebble. You can see his red truck parked in his driveway, usually with flags attached to it, but not anymore. They said I had to take it down because it was a sign or a billboard, said Chris. The homeowners, the HOA Association residents, to have one political sign in front of the yard during voting time. They're allowed, I should say, they're allowed to have one political sign during voting time. But since Kress left a flag on his truck after voting time was over, he was asked to take it down, or else the homeowners HOA's lawyer was going to take him to court. It makes me feel upset, said Chris. I'm a veteran. I did take an oath to this country. I believe in freedom of speech. should be everywhere. I believe that freedom of speech should be everywhere. Chris resorted to implementing a bumper sticker that says, "Let's go, Brandon," on his truck. But he was told it is also not allowed. Shouldn't do that, Chris. A phrase has become an anti Joe Biden phrase used by conservative. We're all familiar with the phrase by now, I'm sure. They say it is a obnoxious trader activity. Obnoxious trader activity, which in my mind is more of a setup, is more of setting up a lemonade stand as a trader activity, says Chris. This is just a sticker on a vehicle. The HOA saying this is a violation of Section 8.4 of the Central Park and Estates bylaws, that no noxious or offensive trade or activity shall be carried upon any lot or anything been done thereon, which may be or may become an annoyance or nuisance to the neighborhood. Woo! So basically, as I was telling you earlier in this video, the HOAs have what's called bylaws, and these bylaws are kind of a mini constitution for the neighborhood, for the section of homes that is in that particular neighborhood. The HOA sent a notice to Chris saying he would be fined $100 if he did not remove the sticker by last Friday, and would be charged another $100 this Friday if it still hadn't been removed. It doesn't matter what your opinion is, says Chris. Everyone should be able to express it without somebody getting upset. Now, Chris backs his truck up to his driveway and completely removes the hatch to the truck so he doesn't get fined. I'm hoping they understand it's a freedom of speech and they let me put it back on, said Chris. Fox 5 has reached out to HOA of this community, who says it has no comment as of this publication. And, you know, listen, it is what it is. You've been warned. If you move into an HOA, you are essentially giving your rights up, your property rights, your freedom of expression rights up to a board. They can come up with any kind of bylaws, any kind of rules that they want. A lot of times when you buy a property, they have to give you the bylaws before you actually sign the documents, so you know exactly what the rules are for the homeowner association. Most people that move into an HOA do not read these laws. As I said earlier, they simply think, well, I'm never going to have a problem, and that's wrong. You need to make sure you read these rules thoroughly, completely, and carefully before you decide to move into an HOA. And there's one other thing I want to tell you. I've seen this firsthand. Not only do you have to worry about the bylaws as they are, I have seen the bylaws change. They can simply rewrite the bylaws any way they want. The problem when you go to court, which an HOA, is not only are you forking over serious dough, not only are you going to end up paying a ton of money in fines, at the end of the day, more often than not, I can tell you what's going to happen. You're going to lose. The judge is going to have no choice. He's going to be reluctant, but he has no choice in the overwhelming majority of the cases to rule in favor of the homeowners association. Generally speaking, the judge is bound by the bylaws. He's bound by the decisions of the board. It's unfortunate, but you now know what the risks are of an HOA. So before you move into it, you need to think about it very carefully. This particular article, again, was brought to us by Fox 5 KVVU-TV, and the author is Danny Maston. It is a recent article, just this last month. So anyway, we appreciate that article. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, please put them below. If you need to reach me, you always know exactly how to reach me by this address right here. Just simply reachjrdukes@gmail.com. I'm always here to help you. It's my pleasure to help you. I'm here to help you. Questions, comments, like I said, put them below. Always remember, my friends, to have that free mind and never give up. I am JR Dukes.